Hey everyone, and welcome to this guide. Is it a guide? I don't know. Maybe it isn't a guide yet. Well, welcome to this accuracy stacking wonder I have going at the moment. This is supposed to use a shaper wand eventually that gives you increased lightning damage per 10 int. But since I don't have a shaper wand yet and I want to start the build, I'm using these boots that adds 1 to 5 lightning attack damage per 200 accuracy. You should blaze this. Actually, I think I'll blaze orb this right now to move it from 5 to 6. Let's do that. There you go. So it's 1 to 6 attack lightning damage per 200 accuracy. The reason I'm using these boots right now is because I just don't have the wand yet. But anyway, let's just do a quick tower map and I'll explain a little bit more. So the basic defense that I'm using right now is I have a Grace aura, and then I'm using the Ghost Shrouds, gain a lot of ES whenever I do get hit, and then I have a lot of evasion and just some ES from here and stuff. And then the Shroud of the Lightless, this is my body armor I'm using. So the reason I'm using Shroud of the Lightless is because it's an easy way to get a nice 6 link. Because of the supported by ally weakness gem. I try to make this an SSF friendly kind of build, but there are still a lot of gear that are gearing associated with this build. Like my gems are also still level 18 and so on. So I will definitely make an update for this build at some point once I see how it fares towards the end game. And I just wanted to show you how I leveled it, what skill tree I used to get it to this point, roughly the map clearing that you can expect. It doesn't have great single target right now. The idea going forward is for sure to use barrage on single target, to make that a little bit more manageable. So the specific variant I'm doing has Badge of the Brotherhood, which makes it so I get my frenzy charges to be equal to my power charges. This is not really mandatory in my opinion. There are better int and accuracy stacking amulets you can make and craft depending on which variant you want to play. But I just went with this because I wanted to have I got it in SSF, which is the first time ever, so I wanted to use it in a build I made, regardless whether it makes sense or not. As you can see, I can do Sniper's Mark and ally weakness on the same enemy. That is because of the fact that I have the ascendancy, probably ascendant of the what's it called, the cultist, and that means I can apply an additional curse. So something that's very cool about Sniper's Mark is when you hit a rare, obviously they take more damage from Sniper's Mark, but the projectiles also fork off, so it helps you with clear a little bit. There's not too much else special that I wanted to show in terms of mapping. I also have the, what do you call this thing, Hydrosphere, which if you hit will start pulsating and cause them to have exposure. But I should be using barrage support for single target. I just wanted to show roughly where I'm at right now for a tier 9 map on level 77 with literally basically no gear. So as I say, this will get a lot better as you gear up. This is one of the builds that I've played that scales the most with levels. As with most stacking builds, every level is massive and you do feel the difference. Now if you do intend on playing the Badge of the Brotherhood version, like I'm doing right here, you'd for sure want to invest on the passive skill tree in the increased duration of charges node. So this is the charge mastery that I'm thinking about, 100% increased duration. The reason why I feel this is very important is because we are an ascendant. We have raider and occultist, so we can generate power and frenzy charges. Debatable whether this is the best way to do it. You could make an argument for leaving the frenzy charge route and Badge of the Brotherhood setup and going for the assassin side of things, or maybe some Inquisitor action if you want that regen and stuff. But I'm planning to play a Chaos Inoculation CI version of the build soon, which uses this node, which makes me immune to chaos damage and my max life is 1. But yeah, so depending on what you want to play, and you want to do a pure life one, more damage and more movement speed might just be to leave the occultist side and go for assassin like this. And then if you want to stack more accuracy, maybe a lot of this stuff you can take off, but you definitely want one mastery that gives you intelligence as accuracy if you want to do the version that I am doing right now. I'm just using these boots as a crutch right now, just to get me to carry me through until I get my Shaper wand. This effectively does the same thing the Shaper wand would do, is gives us flat damage based on some condition. Something that is not really mandatory for this build but helps a lot is if you have a Crown of Eyes. I dropped one super coincidentally while I was playing this character. Super happy about that one. But the reason why this is so big for us is because of the attack leeches life and mana and the increase and reduction to spell damage applied to attacks at 150% of their value. Now 150% is higher than you get on the skill tree. On one mastery, the third from the bottom says increase and reduction spell damage applies to attacks while wielding a wand, but it's only 100%, so the one that we have on Crown of Eyes is better than this one. The rest of my gear is starting to build up to just stacking some int and stuff and filling my attribute requirements. There's nothing super big about all of this stuff. Not yet anyway. I'm hoping to make it so. So yeah, I think this is basically the skill gem setup that I'm gonna go with right away. If you get the Shaper wand and enough added flat lightning damage, you can possibly drop the added lightning damage support. You can also drop the critical damage for barrage. So ideally you probably want like a white socket in your ear if you want to swap between the two. So if you want to use kinetic blast, I recommend looking into a pair of elder gloves. The elder gloves can have socketed gems are supported by faster projectiles, faster attacks you can also get, and accuracy if you're doing accuracy stacking, crit and all that stuff. So this will help you to get another pseudo 6 link if you want to do another setup with kinetic blast and you don't want to have a single target and clearing setup. I will link this path of building tree in the description of the video just in case someone's interested to see what I'm planning on doing. And then if you go here at the bottom left, you can swap to energy shield, and then it shows what I plan on using as my energy shield tree at the end. It's definitely not min-maxed at all, but this is just the bare bones concept if someone's interested to have a look. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to see the rest of this series on the Wonder and how it works out, please subscribe and like the video if it helped you, and if there's any questions or improvements you can suggest, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.